union contract. We're close.
May 20th, 2014.
All set?
It's on?
I'd like to call the Lisbon Town Council meeting for Tuesday, May 20th, 2014 to order. Do you guys want to waive the pledge till we come back, or would you like to do it now?
I would say after.
All right.
We'll do it after.
I'll waive the pledge. Next item, please.
Is executive session order 2014-75, 75A, to go into executive session per 1 MRSA, section 405A, town manager search, and 405D, contract negotiations.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0. Let me stop the recorder. Recorder's on.
That's the motion.
All right, I'd like to bring the Lisbon Town Council meeting for Tuesday, May 20th, 2014 back to order. We did waive the Pledge of Allegiance in the beginning to go into executive session, so we will do that now. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we did go into executive session at 6 o'clock for a town manager search and contract negotiations, and we do have an order to come out with and a motion. I would open the floor for a motion.
I'd like to motion that the proposed agreement between Teamsters Local Union 340 Public Works Department and the Town of Lisbon for the period of July 1st, 2014 to June 30th, 2017 be approved with one amendment to Article 22, Section 2, Union Security. Fair share fees shall not apply to employees hired prior to July 1st, 2014.
Looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, do we need a roll call vote, Twyla? All right. All those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Before we move on to the next item, I just want to make sure that everybody is aware. We did have to revise the agenda on Monday. We did remove the town manager and tax collector from appointments. We did add an executive session for the town manager search in the beginning, and we did add Order 2014-81A for the 2014-2015 school budget warrant articles. If you don't have an updated agenda, they are on the wall on the side if you do want to grab one. That being said, next item, please.
Okay. We haven't done a roll call officially, if you'd like to do that.
Perfect.
We begin, Councilor Garrison?
Present.
Councilor Lunt?
Present.
Councilor McTevier?
Here.
Councilor Bickford?
Here.
Councilor Pesky?
Here.
Councilor Brunel?
Here.
And Councilor Ward is excused. Next item on the agenda would be good news and recognition. Lisbon Emergencies recognition of Sergeant Stewart and Officer McGee.
That has been postponed.
Moved to a new agenda. Okay. Then the next item is the public hearings. An amendment to the Finance Committee ordinance.
I'd open the public hearing. Going once, going twice. Seeing none. Next item, please.
Is audience participation for agenda items.
This time, I'd like to open it up for audience participation relating to agenda items only. Mr. Fillmore?
Larry Fillmore from Lisbon. I'd like to discuss this natural gas item that's on the other business. The first question that needs to be asked is, where is this money coming from? Since it was not in the budget. I hope we're not generating yet another unfavorable expenditure budget variance using the undesignated fund again. Next, the way this proposal is worded, the taxpayers are getting screwed again. Why should the taxpayers split the cost of trenching and paving with the Brunswick Housing Authority from the main on Berry Avenue to 4 Capitol Avenue? Town receives no benefit by splitting the cost from the main on Berry Avenue to 4 Campus Avenue, a business. So our tax dollars shouldn't be used to support a business. That's my feelings on this. I think the proper way to do this is, A, wait until Brunswick Housing pays for the costs of trenching and paving from Route 196 to 4 Campus Avenue, and then paying the connection cost only. The second best option is to split the cost with the Brunswick Housing area for trenching and paving from 196 to the main on Berry Avenue. And then pay the connection costs, and the Brunswick Housing Area Authority can pay for trenching and paving from the main to 4 Campus Avenue. The last option is to pay the entire cost from Route 196 to the main on Berry Avenue, including the connection cost. If you notice, there are no distances or a map of the main with this proposal. We didn't get it. I don't know if you people have it in your packet, but it certainly would be nice to know the distance of this trench and from point A to point B, because the taxpayers shouldn't be responsible for paying a lot of this. Also, there's no explanation of exactly what the $1,852 is for. I assumed it was the connection fee, but it isn't stated in here at all, so we don't have a clue what that $1,800 is. So I don't think this proposal is ready to be presented here to you people for a decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fillmore. Anyone else for audience participation? Seeing none? Next item, please.
Audience participation response.
I think a lot of your questions might be answered later on in the session tonight. Next item, please.
Is the consent agenda. Any counselor wishing to have any item removed may do so now. Items removed from the consent agenda will be considered next. Seeing none, Order 2014-76 to approve the minutes of May 6, May 12, May 13th, a renewal victual licenses for the following: Benoit's Bakery, Canton Pearl, Chummy's Restaurant, Dairy Maid, Dunkin' Donuts, Good Time Lanes, Kennebec Fruit Company, Pinky D's, Railroad Restaurant and Pub, Riverside Dairy Bar, and the Slovak Catholic Association, plus to approve Central Maine Power and Bear Point's pole permit for the Potter Road.
Open the floor for a motion.
Make that motion.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Under Council Orders, Ordinances, and Resolutions, Order 2014-77, a dispatch agreement with Lisbon Emergency.
All right, looking for a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second? All right. Any discussion? All right, seeing none. Is there anything from Lisbon Emergency that you guys have that you would like to add before the vote?
What is the proposal?
Can you come to the microphone, please?
Jim McDonald, Chief of Lisbon Emergency.
This evening, we are going to be voting for Order 77, which is the dispatch service agreement between the Town of Lisbon and Lisbon Emergency.
And what was that? Was that the latest one I got by email?
Correct. Yep.
All right. Just so you know, our board of directors voted not to accept that agreement.
Okay.
And that's in the board of directors' hands.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. All right, anything else from the public regarding this item? Dot?
Could we have an explanation of what the agreement is?
Sure. The agreement is a dispatch service agreement between the Town of Lisbon and Lisbon Emergency for dispatching their calls out to the service. Can you come to the microphone, please?
Dot Fitzgerald. I was at the previous meeting when there was a lot of discussion about the dispatch service and what it was going to entail, what the town was going to be responsible for, what the dispatch service was going to be for. Can we have an explanation of what your agreement, was?
Once the Dale, was this in the packet online?
It was in the packet, it's
No.
online, and it's over there as well.
I was online this afternoon, and I didn't, there was not a packet on the dispatch online this afternoon,
Yeah,
or I would have printed it.
I'm not sure, Dot, because I had actually downloaded it to my iPad, and it had the dispatch agreement with the packet online. I'm more than happy to give you mine to review, but the vote is coming up, and there is one on the wall, I believe, over there.
we have them
I'll
on.
take one.
Yep.
I guess it's a moot point where the dispatch is not agreeing to it anyway.
That's according to Chief McDonald. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion on the floor from Councilor Bickford, second by Councilor Mativier, to accept the proposed dispatch agreement through the Town of Lisbon and Lisbon Emergency. Any other discussion? Seeing none?
Well, I think we need to make the point to Lisbon Emergency that they need to make an agreement with us at some point or find someone else to make an agreement with. Otherwise, this service, dispatch is just not going to be there for you guys. So, either you have to make an agreement with us or another service to provide that. We're not going to give that away for free forever.
Good point, Councilor Lunt. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the proposed motion?
Order passed, 6-0.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Order 2014-78, the garden request, Faye Brown's letter.
This was from Faye Brown, the founder of the Green Thumb Gang, came in to our last meeting requesting that the town adopt the articles in the garden with the stipulation that if we were to give them away, they would go back to Ms. Brown. Do I have a motion to accept or a motion not to accept?
I'd like to accept.
Councilor Bickford, accept. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Councilor Lunt, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Order 2014-79, nominations to MMA's Legislative Policy Committee.
I just got to get my packet in order here. So from my understanding, this is a nomination for the MMA Legislative Policy Committee. We'll get a motion on the floor, and then we can discuss it. Do I have a motion?
It's a
I'll make the motion.
nomination. Yeah, it only needs one person to nominate somebody.
Perfect.
So the motion would be to nominate in the name that you'd like to nominate.
Oh, well, thank you. I haven't thought of that.
If I could, I think the real question is, does anyone want to be nominated for the LPC? The town's under no obligation to nominate anyone.
I was thinking Councilor Lunt.
I'll accept if you draft me.
I'll second that nomination.
Shall we try?
Make the motion.
So Councilor Bickford is nominating Councilor Lund?
Yep.
Is that correct? Okay.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion regarding the nomination? Any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Just like that.
There you go. Congratulations.
And Councilor Lunt will need to sign the form.
Perfect.
So will Councilor Bickford.
You are the lucky duck, Mark.
Do you have the forms?
I do.
All right, next item, please.
Or Resolution 2014-80, the 2014 Spirit of America Tribute.
All right, so from my gathering of reading this, this is an award that the LACO received last year for the outstanding recipient of, working in a community and what they give back. So far, we have a nomination for the Moxie Committee, is that correct?
Moxie Festival Committee? Sure.
All right, is there a motion to accept the Moxie Committee for the nomination for the recipient?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Anyone else that would like to nominate another organization?
I think they put a lot of work into it, and I think they deserve some recognition for all the effort they've put in there.
Yeah, definitely a very outgoing group, for sure.
Would you like to have the resolution read?
Sure. Should we do that before the vote or after?
Is this in the vote to nominate the Moxie Festival Committee
From
and
my
approve the
reading,
resolution?
I thought it was to go ahead with the
Just
nomination.
Nominate it first, okay.
Okay, will that be good with you? All right. All those in favor of the nomination for the Moxie Committee Moxie Festival Committee?
Order passed, 6-0.
Thank you.
Then another motion to approve the resolution in order?
All right.
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution for the Moxie Committee.
Second?
I'll second that.
Perfect. Any discussion regarding the resolution? Seeing none? All those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Perfect.
Then we'll have that for you to sign as well tonight before
Perfect.
we leave.
All right. Next item, please.
Order 2014-81, an ordinance amendment to the Finance Committee ordinance. This is a second reading, so a roll call vote is required. If you'd like, I can read what it is that it's changing.
Yes, please. I would appreciate that.
Okay. This motion would be to repeal Article 5, Boards and Commissions, Division 2, Budget Advisory Board, Finance Committee, Section 2505, established, which is repealing the Budget Advisory Board language. It repeals Section 2506, the duties, repealing the Budget Advisory Board duties, and it amends Section 2507, the Finance Committee established under A for the purposes of conducting the affairs of the Finance Committee. A majority vote requires will strike at least 3 and insert at least 4, present and voting in agreement at all times to constitute affirmative action.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Councilor Bickford, second from Councilor Mativier.
And the roll call?
Any discussion? Seeing none?
Is it a roll call?
Nope. I just want to make sure the public is clear. This is just bringing the ordinances into line with what people already voted on for the charter amendment last, I think it was November. So it's just a clarification. It's basically dead language that's kind of sitting there useless in the ordinances. It's not changing anything meaningfully, really.
Thank you very much, Mark, for bringing that up. I think we're all set, Twyla.
Okay. Counselor Garrison?
Yes.
Counselor Bickford?
Yes.
Counselor Ward is absent. Counselor Pesky?
Yes.
Counselor Brunel?
Yes.
Counselor Mativier?
Yes.
And Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
So 6 yeas, 0 nays, order passed.
Next item, please.
Order 2014-81A, the 2014-2015 school budget adoption.
All right. Everyone got the yellow sheets from the superintendent's office regarding the 2014-2015 budget. There are 18 articles in here that we will need to vote on or discuss whatever council feels necessary. Mr. Green, do you have anything you would like to add into this process, or do you just want to stand up there as we go through?
I'll stand up here as you go through, but I would like to clarify that there are some changes since my presentation on March 4th, and again at the workshop meeting on April 28th. And the biggest changes, you'll notice that there's a decrease in the amount of, an increase in the local funding, but an overall decrease in the local funding, and that's a result of a number of things that have changed over the last several weeks. The first one is the subsidy increase from 2013-2014 that we did not use last year. I had mentioned that there was potential for a curtailment from the from the Department of Education. That has since been changed, so we will be receiving that $139,775. So that's good news. Our subsidy increase for this year has changed. The amount as of today is $443,429 increase, which is actually, since the last time, since our workshop on April 28th, that has decreased by $25,136, and that was a result of the mill rate change. So if you've seen online and on the news how the new budget, the proposed budgets, or the mill rate change, that's how it impacted us. So there's I think originally when I spoke with you, there was $230,000 decrease in the local contribution. $25,136 of that was used as a result of the change in the mill rate. So we did lose subsidy there. This budget that I'm presenting to you this evening does include $39,000 of the capital reserve balance to be used for district vehicles. Whether it's a bus, we're hoping to receive approval in the second round for buses. We also, as many of you know, we need a new maintenance vehicle and potentially a van. So we do. Over the last 2 years, we have built our budget using capital reserve, and this year that would be what that money would be for. So we have $141,000 in our capital reserve, and we're building this budget on using $39,000 of that for purchase of a new vehicle or a district vehicles. As a result of a number of resignations over the last week, or last few weeks, that some of you may or may not have heard about, there has been changes in salaries and increases in benefits. An example would be that the 2 openings we had at central office, by hiring the payroll person here, they took insurance, whereas the person that was leaving didn't take insurance. So there's a lot of movement. I tried to get this budget as accurate as I could. However, we still have anticipated openings, administrative openings. We just hired a principal at the elementary school. We're more than likely going to need to have a new principal at the high school. Neither one of those administrators took insurance, so the people that are coming in are the one that we've hired takes full family versus no insurance, and that's about $15,000. So it doesn't take very many positions, as you know, that when there's a difference like that it's going to take up a lot of our subsidy increase. But again, you needed numbers this evening, and those are the numbers we presented. We also, as I mentioned during our budget workshop in April, we did build the the debt service for the proposed gymnasium and track into our budget so that we could get credit for it if in fact it does pass on June 10th. If that amount was $166,168, which would be the impact that both of those referendums would have, or our bonds would have on the local or on the school budget for next year. If in fact those amounts or those bonds don't pass, one thing to remember is that we are receiving around $170,000 for the retirement, employee retirement benefits, and they have talked that may go away in 2014, 2015. Another option is that we would roll that money into our undesignated amount and use it to build our budget for the next year. So we built that into our debt service, and that's one of the reasons why there's such a big decrease in the amount of a reduction in the total decrease in the local funding. Overall, though, there's still a decrease in local funding. So as a result of the budget I'm presenting this evening, there's still a $23,148 decrease in the local funding of the school department. So it's still, the budget you're voting on is still a decrease to the local taxpayers in regard to the school budget. And I think I've explained that during the workshop pretty clearly. However, I know a few of you were at other committee meetings that evening, so I just wanted to share that with you before you voted this evening, in case you had questions on why there's such a drastic change in some of those numbers.
Perfect.
Yep.
Appreciate you taking time to explain that to us, Mr. Green. All right. I'll explain that. Talking with Twyla and Mr. Olmsted, it appears that maybe our best bet would be to combine Article 1 through Article 11 into one vote, and then we can take up Articles 12 through 18 individually if council is okay with that, instead of going through all 18 of them separate. Seeing no discussion regarding the combining of articles, I'd open the floor for a motion.
I'll make the motion to vote on Articles 1 to 11 as written on the paper.
Councilor Bickford, looking for a second.
Second.
All right, any discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all those in favor? All right,
Order passed, 6-0.
so now we will move into Article 12, which is on page 3 of 5 for those in the public. Would you like to read that for us, Twyla?
Yes, I'd be glad to. Article 12, public funding of pre-kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, to see what sum the council will authorize the Lisbon School Department to appropriate for the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act. Recommended $13,139,279, and to see what sum the council will raise as the town's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act in accordance with the Maine Revised Statutes, Title 20A, Section 15688.
You do such a good job at doing that. All right, do we have a motion that we can discuss?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right. Any discussion from council regarding Article 12? Seeing none, I should have asked this question in the beginning, but I failed to do so. Looking at this, it appears that a school committee recommendation, a finance committee recommendation, and a council recommendation. Did this go over to the finance committee for review?
They have seen it, yes.
Did they take any action on it?
I don't.
No action has been taken as of this time.
Okay. Did they provide any input on anything?
Nothing that I have available to me on paper that I can state as a fact, no.
All right. Okay.
So is this motion to adopt Article 12 as printed?
Yes.
With the recommendation of $4,381,088?
That's what I gathered from Councilor Bickford's
Want to
motion.
make sure?
Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay.
Order passed, 6-0.
Article 13, please.
Okay, Article 13, Debt Services. To see what sum the council will authorize the Lisbon School Department to raise and appropriate for the annual payments on debt service previously approved by the legislative body for non-state funded school construction projects or non-state funded portions of school construction projects, in addition to the funds appropriated as the local share of the school administrative unit's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12. School committee recommends $95,064. Is
Great.
it $98,064 or 95?
I have 95,064.
Okay, 95,000.
All right. Thank you, Twyla. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept Article 13 as written.
I'll second it.
Any discussion regarding Article 13? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Article 14, please.
Article 14 is the funds exceeding the state's EPS allocation model. Shall the council of the town of Lisbon raise and appropriate $1,115,551 in additional local funds, which exceeds the state's essential programs and services allocation model by $826,348 as required to fund the budget recommended by the Lisbon School Committee. The school committee recommends $1,115,551 for additional local funds and gives the following reason for therefore exceeding the state's essential programs and services funding model by $826,348. The Lisbon School Department is above EPS by $826,348 because the EPS formula does not provide enough subsidy to cover the full cost of nursing services and co-curricular activities and does not provide any subsidy for nutrition.
All right. Do you have a motion? Then we can have discussion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All right. All right, I would open the floor up for a motion regarding Article 14.
What discussion you mean?
I'm sorry. Yes, thank you.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
you can hear me.
I want the public to hear you.
Why is there such a discrepancy? It's just for my own person.
Well, the biggest piece of that will be that, as you know, we have 3 nurses in the system. The state, the EPS formula will gives us credit for 1.6 positions. We have 3, so we're over by 68,422 in nursing. Co-curricular, the state gives us, the EPS formula is based on the number of students, and we are over in co-curricular. We've always been over in co-curricular. The state gives us $77,000 for all of our co-curricular. We spend $372,402, so we're over by almost $300,000 in co-curricular. The school nutrition, zero. There's no money built into the EPS formula for school nutrition, and we spend $343,598 on nutrition. So we're completely 100% over there. And then with debt service, there's a $166,000 increase there, and that is from $166,164, which is the 2 proposed bonds that are going to referendum. So that's why there's such a big increase from the last time you've seen it.
Is there this is more or less for the Finance Committee, is there a reason why they didn't weigh in on any of these articles, or?
Pardon me while I'm getting my mind back to the meetings. We were looking at the town and the bonds. Schools, we have pretty well passed the schools as previously written, but we haven't seen the newest numbers. And being the only member of the Finance Committee here, even though I am the chair, I cannot speak for the entire committee. If it were up to me, I would say the committee will go along with the council on everything they voted for. But if it comes down to small nitty-gritties, there may be some concerns that the committee still wishes to bring up. My suggestion would be accept the council's, and the committee will go along with you. But then that's just me. I've only got so much I can do. So.
Yeah, thank you.
As far as I'm concerned, let's do it. But by the same token, there may be some individual concerns.
I as well have that same question as why they didn't weigh in. Did they know that this was coming up to the council?
They have been informed many times.
I think that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
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 I don't believe there was a recommendation last year either.
No, last year was too new.
Okay.
Right.
It was too new.
All right. Any other discussion from council?
Could I,
Yep.
just to clarify, Rick, I think I heard you correctly. You've built into the budget the assumption that the 2 bond issues would pass.
Correct.
So you have the debt service in the budget. Should one or both fail, which I doubt that'll happen, what would happen to those funds? Would they be parked?
We would roll those over for the next budget year, and that would help offset. Or it'd be rolled over to either offset the increases operational costs for next year, or it could be used to cover the potential for the employee retirement piece. It just seems those numbers don't align up for any other reason than the fact that they're actuals. So it's not like we put that money in there thinking we were going to cover the retirement piece. That money was put in there. It helps us to budget because we can't spend more than what you approve or what the community approves. So if we'd have to go through, I'm not even sure if we'd have to have another vote if the bonds pass and we don't have the money built in there. So, based on conversations with my business manager and who's talked to the attorneys, it made more sense to build that money in there, which is what we shared with you in April, that we were going to build, using the additional subsidy, we were going to build that into our budgets.
Well, I think in order to avoid a second vote, you have to do this.
Correct.
Which only makes business sense.
I do know that out of these budgets have been brought to them several times over the past few months. They did vote on one, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Miriam, but the members that were in attendance did vote on the bond issues too.
The bond issues, yes.
Just
Perfect, thank you. One of the questions that I had looking at it, and it could be because I'm just not familiar with the format here, in Article 14, it has two numbers, 800,000 and then the 1.1 million. I was wondering what the two numbers, what the difference between the two numbers are, and maybe that will explain why there's a difference in numbers.
The 826,000 is what we're over in EPS. The difference between the 1.1 million and the 826,000 is the money that the state's supposed to raise 55% to fund education, and because they don't, the town is required to raise that in addition locally. And there's a term for it, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I know that's why that number is higher, because I've done it. I can find it. If you give me a few minutes, I can find it in my presentation.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
All right. So I had shot you a quick email, and I appreciate you responding to me. I asked Mr. Green to provide me with some sort of documentation that would explain the overage of EPS, because I'm going to look at that number of 826,000. I kind of take another breath, and my heart stops. Regarding the co-curricular, are we so over in that line because of our staff? Is it equipment, or what drives that number so high? Because if I look at it, that's a huge difference.
It's a number of things. You have to remember, I responded to your email. I doubt you had it or you received it because it was
I haven't
when you were in executive session, but you have to factor in transportation as well. So there's stipends, there's also equipment, there's all kinds of different pieces, but when they give you a certain amount for students, if they give you $1,000 or something for students, per student or whatever, and that's probably high, it's probably much less than that, I don't have the actual number, and you look at what it actually costs, there's a big discrepancy there. Our co-curricular has always been over. However, when you look at the total cost per student, in the reports that just went out, we're still under state average what we're spending per student. So I can't really, outside, it's not that we're doing anything different. It's not that we offer additional sports. I mean, we still have one team. We have our hockey team who still has to fundraise to play. We pay for the coach, and that's it. So it's just a matter of the state doesn't, their formula doesn't calculate, a lot of money for athletics because, to be honest, most communities are going to pay for athletics. I mean, that's an area we've never had to touch in all the years of our budget cuts, and it's the formula for the state. It's not like we're way over ourselves. If you look at all the systems, their co-curricular amounts will be exceeding what the EPS formula is.
the other piece that comes out of this type of area, the co-curricular budget, is referees, coverage at games for concussion injuries, all of those types of pieces that you would think wouldn't particularly put under that category come out of there. Referees do tend to make quite a bit of money at the level. We do not set that rate. That is an MPA set rate. So you really have no choice in negotiations regarding that. The other thing that just recently has come to light, most of our team uniforms have been in compliance, but the MPA went into the NCAA ruling on uniforms, which means that you have to have 2 primary colors, and you can't go with the tricolors anymore. You can have accents, but it's very specific as to uniforms that you have to do, and that was a mandate, and they are mandated at certain timelines for certain teams. So unfortunately, most of our uniforms covered that, but not all of them did.
Great, thank you. How much money do we spend on each student when we talk about the athletics, with the report that came out? I'm not familiar with that.
I'd have to do some math, but if you look at the total for co-curricular, which is, you'd have to divide around $1,300, or 1,300 students by the 600, where is it? Hold on 1 second. That was the number I gave you. You have to divide 1,300 by $372,402. Or $372,402 divided by 1,300.
Perfect. All right, thank you. Just going to review my notes real quick.
And that actually is a decrease, just so you know.
The overall numbers a decrease?
The co-curricular numbers are, I believe, are a decrease this year, yes.
Do you know how much?
I can find it out. I can find out. Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's a lot, but it's. $6,000. $6,109.
Anything counts, right?
Well, yeah.
$6,000.
I mean, that goes, I mean, yep. Yeah, it's not just athletics either. It's all your clubs and like drama, chess, yeah. So it's a lot of, it's all of our co-curricular encompasses everything. And we have this conversation every year, just not normally this night.
All right. We have a motion on the floor from Councilor Bickford, second by Councilor Garrison, to accept the Article 14 as written. Any other discussion? All set, Mark?
Yep.
All right. All those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Article 15, please.
Article 15 is the expended for fiscal year 2014-15. To see what sum the council will authorize the Lisbon School Committee to expend for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2014, and ending June 30, 2015, from the town's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, non-state funded school construction projects, additional local funds for school purposes under the Maine Revised Statutes, Title 20A, Section 15690, unexpended balances, tuition receipts, state subsidy, and other receipts for the support of schools. School Committee recommends $14,772,879.
Thank you, Twyla. Do we have a motion for Article 15?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilor Bickford, second from Councilor Garrison for Article 15. Any discussion?
Mr. Green, explain.
It's a total of all the articles we just
Total, all
approved.
the articles?
Yeah.
Right. Remember, there's two pieces. There's a local contribution, and then there's the state subsidy that's included. So 8 million of that is the, over 8 million of that is the state contribution, and then the rest is local.
You mentioned before that this is a decrease from last year, correct?
Locally. The decrease to the local taxpayers, yes. What you have to raise locally is $23,000 or over $20,000 decrease, correct?
Yeah, on the last sheet,
Right.
he explains that. All right, any other discussion? See none? All those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
All right. Article 16, please.
Article 16 is for adult ed. To see if the council will authorize the Lisbon School Department to appropriate $147,884 for adult education and to raise $98,086 as the local share, with authorization to expend any additional, incidental, or miscellaneous receipts in the interest and for the well-being of the adult education program.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion regarding Article 15? I'm sorry, Article 16. Thank you.
How much is it to raise again locally? Is it 98,086?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Article 17, please.
To see what sum the council will raise the Lisbon School Department to expend for adult education. School committee recommends $165,660.
Thank you, Twyla. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion regarding 17?
Total from 16.
The two totals?
Yes, total from 16.
See none? All those in favor of Article 17?
Order passed, 6-0.
All right, the last but not least, Article 18.
The federal and state grants or programs. In addition to amounts approved in the preceding articles, shall the council authorize the school committee to expend stabilization funds and such other sums as may be received from federal or state grants or programs or other sources during the fiscal year for school purposes, providing that such grants, programs, or other sources do not require the expenditure of other funds not previously appropriated.
Thank you, Twyla.
Would the council move yes?
Do you have a motion either way?
Mr. Green,
Yes.
I'll go yes with this, but I would like, do you bring forth, if you, let's say you receive a grant during the year, do you bring that forward so the people will know?
Well, it depends on what kind of, there's title grants that we receive from the federal government, and then as far as any grants that we put in applications, there's a process. It has to be approved through the school committee, and then before it goes out to be approved. So are you referring to like federal grants, or are you
Just
referring?
for, so the people know that you're getting the money, that's all.
Yeah, we're actually doing a report, our next workshop, we're actually doing a report on the local grants, like Berlin City, the ones that we've received multiple times. But a lot of this is in regard to title,
Okay.
like there's local entitlement, which is special education, Title I, Title II. Title II is professional development. Title I is literacy, is what we have at the elementary school. So this gives us the authority to expend those funds.
Yeah.
But the local grants, it's all, we have quite a process for that. So you can't just get grants and not be accountable.
Okay. I'll make a motion to vote yes.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? See none? All those in favor for Article 18?
Order passed, 6-0.
And just to clarify, I did, on the next sheet, you'll see about halfway down where it says transition amount. That's that $200,000 that I was talking about, that because the state does not meet the law for the funding of the education, public education, that's the additional amount that you have to raise locally as a result of that. So that's where the difference is in the EPS number that you were asking me, the $1,800,000.
Perfect,
Called
thank you.
transition.
Thank you very much for answering all our questions and helping us out through the process. All right, Twyla, next item, please.
Is other business, Unitel's paving proposal. Thank you very much.
All right, so this is a proposal from Unitel to go ahead with the process that we need to connect the gas to the Brunswick Housing Authority and to the Marion T. Moore Center on School Street. From what I gather from the reading of the memo, there is a lack I don't know if it's called funding, whatever it is that we are asked to pick up. Mr. Olmsted, do you have anything regarding this?
Well, I do, and I'm subbing for Ryan tonight, who couldn't be here, so I may not have all the answers, and I certainly don't have a map. The proposal is to bring gas to the Brunswick Housing Authority building and to the MTM building as well. The total cost, in addition to the upfront money for each party of $1,852, is $13,000. The town of Lisbon would actually be allowed to put in-kind service into the amount. We would use our Public Works employees to do some of the trenching and some of the handwork. And Brunswick Housing Authority would pay $6,500 in cash. We would provide $6,000 in in-kind service, and also, or $6,500 in in-kind service, of which $500 would be used to offset the $1,852 upfront payment. So the actual out-of-pocket to the town of Lisbon, on the edge of saying Freeport, would be $1,352. That would come out of the town building account or building budget. That's the proposal.
So we're using Public Works to help them,
Correct.
and we're going to, it's going to be $1,300.
Well, it'll be actually $1,300 cash that the town will have to come up with. The rest will be in-kind service
Right.
or the use of our Public Works Department. Correct.
Okay.
Now, the other thing is, once gas gets to the MTM building, then through the performance contract, you will get estimates on converting that building to natural gas. We're starting to get information back from the company that's performing the work, and they're telling us that at least on the town side, it looks like that the performance contract and the savings will offset the cost of the conversion and then some. So I asked Ryan for that information today. I wanted to know if it looked like it would make sense under the contract to convert the MTM building to natural gas. And the answer we got back today from the consultant was, yes, it's going to work for this building.
Good.
But I don't have maps or other information I can share with you.
Is Brunswick Housing Authority a nonprofit, or is it a for-profit business?
I believe it's a nonprofit.
So is this going to be a lengthy project that we're going to be using our guys for a fair amount of time? I mean, we're going to be paying them a long time if we're doing that?
I believe it's going to take about 2 weeks' worth of labor
They're
from our
fast.
department.
196 down School Street isn't very far.
Yeah. About, what, 2.5 blocks
Yeah,
to get to MTM and then
up through.
up through?
How will they actually be running the line?
That I don't have a map, I'm not sure of.
Okay.
I assume they'd,
In between the water line and the sewer line.
I'm asking, are they going to go up Barry? Are they going to go up Addison?
I think.
How are they going to?
I think they said something about going up Berry for the not the MTM Center.
That I'm not sure of. I'm not sure this is time sensitive. If you wanted to wait a couple of weeks and get more information, certainly do that. I'm not sure at the end of the day that's going to change your vote, but
Yeah.
My only concern with it is that we anticipate Brunswick Housing Authority to pay half the cost.
their board of directors has voted to do so.
Okay. Do we have any sort of contract or anything with them?
We don't, but I have an email from their executive director, which would be converted into a contract by the gas company.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make this motion to accept this proposal as written.
Second.
Yeah, I'd like to have some numbers on like the footage of how far we're going from, the line and, how much of it is really to MTM versus to the Brunswick Housing Authority. I'd like to know that before I voted on it.
I would have
Make sure we're
to,
getting a fair deal for both sides here.
I have to agree with Councilor Lund that I feel I need a little more information, especially I would like to see some sort of contract, just because I know where we've been before with other situations. I would like to make sure that all of our stuff is lined up and ready to go, since Mr. Olmsted said it wasn't a time-sensitive article, but that's only my opinion.
I mean, for myself, I'd prefer to wait 2 weeks and get the information and, know what we're voting on and make sure
For the savings
all the
early
ducks in a
on.
row. Yeah. Make sure the public knows what we're voting on too.
under that circumstance, I'd move to table this until our next meeting.
Yep.
Did you want to table the approval vote, or do you just want to vote this down and create a new one next time?
I think we should vote it down and go back to the drawing board.
So take a
Fine
vote.
with me.
Okay.
All right, so would have to do,
Those in favor and those opposed, and then,
Why wouldn't you just simply table?
Yeah, table to next time.
when you table the motion, you're tabling it to approve it as it's written here. If it's a change, then you'd need to amend it. It's up to you, but that's the difference when you table a motion.
Well, I just don't want to send the wrong message to,
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a tell or to the,
'Cause this is not a lot of money we're
So
talking about.
Will the parameters change next time? Probably
well,
not.
I don't
We can always
think so.
amend it if we have
I
to.
think it's just a matter of providing detail.
Yeah, it's not gonna, they've already given us what it's gonna cost us, you know. If they add another 100 feet, they probably won't cost us any more.
All right, so you just want to table, is it seconded?
I'll second that.
so we're,
Just table it till
Just
next
table
week.
Then to table to the next meeting?
perfect,
If
okay.
something major changes, then we'll vote it down and
Perfect.
there.
Amend it or something.
All right, so all those in favor of tabling the Unitel project with the Town of Lisbon and the Brunswick Housing Authority to the next meeting? All those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Perfect. Next item, please, Twyla.
Audience participation for new items. At this time, those in the audience who wish to address the council would come forward. These would be for agenda items not, well, for items not on the agenda.
Correct, yep. All right, I would open up audience participation for new items. Ms. Fitzgerald?
Thank you, Council PC. Knight Celotex, the former Knight Celotex property, when you come into Lisbon Falls from Topsom, is a horrific sight. It looks terrible. I don't see anything going on there. They've had numerous deadlines to clean up the site. When was the last deadline?
I'm not sure of that, but I'm not sure.
If I don't pay my taxes, I have interest and penalties. If I don't pay my water sewer bill, I have interest and penalties. That whole property looks really, really bad. It gives a really bad impression of the town of Lisbon. Are there any, does the town give fines or penalties for not meeting deadlines? What is going on there? Do they have any intention at all to finish that, clean it up? Or are they just going to walk away and give it to the town? Are we going to end up with it?
Dot, to be honest with you, I'm not sure. I was never made aware of a deadline given to them to clean it up. Maybe something happened which I'm not familiar with, which is possible. That stuff happens all the time. But to my knowledge, I'm not aware of a deadline that was given. Does anyone else know anything?
We don't really have authority, as my understanding, to force anything on them. They gave us a deadline of what they said when they thought it was going to be done, but...
Which was last August.
It wasn't anything we imposed on them.
I
Last
knew
August,
that there
yes.
were,
Second one.
Yeah, that was the second one, was, last thing we were told was they were going to have it done by August. And then the snow started flying and it was still there.
That's all I know. I don't,
You have a good question, Dot.
If we had a property maintenance ordinance that's been proposed by some people on the planning board, we could enforce that, but there's nothing on the books or that I understand.
Could I,
yes, please.
earlier this week, the code enforcement officer and I met with the owner of that property, who is returned to Maine from, I believe, Florida. And he is working with Dennis right now on a new schedule to clean that property up. Now, I can't guarantee that whatever they agree upon will be, I don't want to use the
Upheld,
wrong words here.
maybe?
I can't guarantee that he will meet the next deadline he's given, but Dennis has made it clear to him in my office that failure to meet the next deadline will lead to some consequences.
Do we
Thank
have
you.
ability to sue them, or what are our enforcement
Well, the
options?
DEP's involved in this as well. So,
They'll get them.
yeah.
they
I
get
think-
us, so.
something needs to be done. Thank you. And I do applaud Dennis. He's really doing a good job. He's making sure that things get done. But yeah, thank you.
Dylan?
Yeah, go ahead.
Dale, in most circumstances, it's kind of funny, doesn't a contractor, when they do a big job like this, have, I know we didn't do it, but don't they get bonded? So if something like that happens, then there's some fallback?
That should be the case, yes.
Yeah, I don't think that happened on this one.
I know my experience in the past has been when major projects go on in a community, the town does receive a performance bond from the developer
Right.
or the contractor, and if the contractor fails to meet certain standards, the town can call that bond.
Right.
I can remember getting on a plane and going to New York City to call a bond many years ago. But I'm not sure that that was a requirement in this case.
I don't think it was.
Can I speak to that?
Hold on just a second. Councilor Garrison?
I just wanted to say one thing, Dot. Just so you know, our prospective town manager is well aware of that. That was one of the items she noticed in her travels through Lisbon. So it's on the radar.
Mr. Fellows?
As a member of the planning board and watching that development not happen down there, I looked back on when I was first on the board and realized that the only thing that the planning board ever was involved in was approving a demolition permit. No timelines. There was an expectation at the time that he would finish within a year. But however, looking back on it, quite frankly, it was, at the time, economic development was so happy to have somebody do something with that piece of property. Every deadline was ignored. Every safeguard was pretty much ignored. Had we to do it again, which we don't, it would be looked at a little differently. And my question, too, was why didn't we get a performance bond? And I don't have the answer to that. I do know that I spoke yesterday. I looked at it for the last time I wanted to look at it that way, as I came across the bridge, and then came in here and spoke with Dennis as well. And he said, funny you should mention that. We were just talking with him. And, well, anyway, I feel pretty confident that there's something going to happen over this spring and summer to get it cleaned up acceptably.
Thank you. Mr. Fillmore?
Just to add to that, when the town initially went into an agreement with this Swift Demolition, or whatever the name of it is now, they gave them an abatement on the property. Okay, and the understanding was with the abatement, the first year was that they were going to get it done within the first year. However, as I understand it, those people came from Maryland, and apparently they don't understand what winter is in Maryland, because when the snow started coming, they went home, and they stayed home. Not until the snow stopped, but until it was like 70 degrees here before they would return. They've done this now for 3 years, okay, because nobody is actually putting any pressure on them to get this done. And I think that, enough's enough. And like everybody else, we're all tired of looking at that crap down there. So I think we need to take some appropriate action.
Thank you, Mr. Fillmore.
70-degree weather's coming.
Well, we had one day, but I didn't see him come back.
A suggestion. Perhaps Swift Demolitions should start hiring local help to clean that up. If their workers aren't interested, it's a well-known fact that Southerners are not always.
It's a good idea, but they do hire local.
Maybe on TV.
Yeah, I really think they should
they have in the
be
past.
a strong suggestion that they hire local help to clean up that mess.
Thank you, Dot.
Faye Brown, I feel like counting my blessings after listening to that mess being discussed. But a year later, it's still, that little pile of stuff is next door to me still. So I feel bad for Dennis. He's got his work cut out, and I hope we can deal with some sort of ordinances or whatever we have to do, that this doesn't happen in any neighborhood, because it certainly can cause blight in a hurry. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Hello?
As you may have received already, I'm not sure, the high school has sent out invitations for graduation for Friday night, May 30th at 7 o'clock at the Colisee. And I would also like to invite you to Scholarship Night, which is where all of our local scholarships are given out to our graduating seniors, and that is Wednesday, May 28th at 7 o'clock in our gymnasium.
Perfect, thank you. Anyone else in public like to address the council? Seeing no additional comments, next item, please, Twyla.
Are there any further council responses to new business, to new items?
I believe that we had responded to everything. If not, someone please raise your hand. I don't want to leave empty-handed. Seeing no flying hands, I think that does it.
Okay, the next item would be appointments. Order 2014-82, the removal of an appeals board member for non-residents.
This is a removal of Calvin from the appeals board. He has moved to a different town.
I'll make that motion.
You have a motion from Councilor Bickford. Do you have a second? Yep. From Councilor Mativier. Any discussion? I would just like to thank him for his service on the planning board and what he brought to Lisbon on the planning board to help us move us forward.
I'd like to also say he served on the Conservation Committee for quite a while, and he was very good at it.
Great. Any other comments from council? See none, this will be a vote to remove Calvin from the appeals board committee. All those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
6-0. Next item, please.
Council Communications.
I got something to say.
Go ahead.
Miriam, I would like to have you respond to the Finance Committee and tell them that either the town council, which I believe is true, or even me, we're not real happy on the school budget with no advice.
I will do this. This is something that has been brought up several times, and I've offered to resign twice because I'm getting sick and damn tired of trying to herd cats.
Well,
So I will do the best I can. I promised the chair of this council I would stay, and I will do the best I can to get the committee to do something. But if they continue to refuse, then you can have my resignation because I'm getting sick and tired of bashing my head against the wall.
right.
Ms. Pesco has been present at times when the committee has not been, how we say, proactive.
Well,
And
I hope you...
I think you can understand the situation. And yes, I will pass the council's word.
Thank you very much.
More than welcome, sir.
Any other council communications? None? Anything? I as well just want to comment on the Finance Committee. You know, it's not... Miriam definitely is doing what she can to help that committee, but I think it also relies on us as a council that we might need to give a little more direction, push a little harder, and I think that we started with cleaning up some verbiage in the charter, and I think we just got to continue with supporting that group as they continue to develop into a finance committee. I believe for the public, we will probably have a special council meeting on May 27th, hopefully to appoint the new town manager and tax collector. That will be for May 27th. Please stay posted. It will be put on the web, and an agenda should be sent out.
And that'll be at 6 p.m.
Thank you. 6 p.m. I had it down for 7. All right. Anything else? Next item, please.
Order 2014-85 to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Thank you, folks, very much for coming out.
Roger, you've never been that fast.
To stay around.
You got 5-1 on that.
Okay, let me shut that off.
She's driving you that crazy?
To a meeting where it's only an hour long. You did an awesome job.
Here till midnight, and I'm dead.
Twilight.
Very well managed. It hasn't been-
Okay.
happens when you turn my age.
Next week yet, so I wasn't ready yet.